evening. Welcome to highlights of the 2009 Hungarian Grand Prix here on BBC Three. We'll show you precisely what happened in the race very shortly. But before the cars even took to the track today, there was one empty garage, the garage belonging to Felipe Massa. He was involved in a dramatic incident in qualifying. And before we show you what happened in the race, here's Ted Kravitz to explain all.
It was midway through second qualifying. Ironically, Felipe Massa was already into Q3. He didn't need to do another lap, but was having a go just to make sure. Rubens Barrichello was about 100 metres ahead of Massa. Barrichello was not through to Q3 at this point, so was winding up for a quick lap. As Barrichello came out of turn 3, parts of his rear suspension started to fall off the car. We understand that there was a failure of a bolt that holds the spring and damper assembly together. On the way up the hill, the spring fell off. Travelling at around 140 miles an hour and weighing about 1 kilo, the spring bounced along the track on the racing line. 3 seconds later, Felipe Massa drove right into the path of the spring. It hit Massa's crash helmet just above the left eye. The Ferrari was travelling at about 150 miles an hour. It's not known if Massa was knocked unconscious at this point. The brakes were partially locked up, but no inputs were going into the steering wheel, and Felipe was still on the throttle as the car was buried into the tyre wall. Massa was stabilised in the car. Pictures show his Schubert helmet remained structurally intact. The spring gouged a 4-inch groove out of the helmet's shell. The visor had become detached, and Felipe had a deep cut across his left eyebrow. His other injuries were discovered in the medical centre.
He was conscious when he arrived to the hospital. He went through medical checks, and the medical checks showed that he had a cut in the forehead, a bone damage on the skull in the region above, just above the left eye, and brain concussion. And now this means that he has to undergo an operation, and then he will remain under observation in intensive care.
It's a fairly heavy object, probably 1.5 to 2 pounds a kilo, and obviously at the speed you're doing, it's a serious impact.
Just explain, what is that spring and where is it located on the car?
It's in the middle of the gearbox, and it's what's called the heave spring. It's connected to rear suspension, and we've had a problem there, and we're still understanding exactly what happened. And Ruben's car collapsed onto the track, and obviously the spring came out the back of the car, but we're still investigating what the cause was.
Surgery was described as successful, and Massa is stable in intensive care. Kimi Räikkönen will be Ferrari's only entry here in Hungary.
And the latest news on Felipe Massa that we have here in Hungary is that he's in a serious but stable condition in hospital. Right, highlights of the race and qualifying coming your way very shortly. But first, let's confirm the way the driver's standings are looking going into today. And as you can see, Jenson Button enjoys a 21-point lead. That's still pretty substantial, but not as great as it was 3 races ago. His nearest rivals, Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber, are now hunting him down, with Rubens Barrichello having slipped to 4th. Right, highlights of the race coming your way very shortly. But first, here's Lee McKenzie with all the news from qualifying.
As the temperature increased in Hungary, people looked for different ways of keeping cool. But on the track, F1 new boy Jaime Alguersuari was feeling the heat in his first ever qualifying session in Formula 1. Today he starts at the back of the grid.
I mean, for sure I'm last. It's not nice to be last, but obviously I didn't expect more. My first weekend and my first mileage with the car.
Force India were having their own race against time to fix Adrian Sutil's car after a big hit in practice. He made it out, but for only 1 run.
The car just was on the limit to get ready for the qualification. A lot of work for the guys, but they did it really professional, really well. So in the end, 18th, it's not so bad.
In Q2, eyebrows were initially raised at Rubens Barrichello's poor lap until his rear suspension failure came to light. The resulting freak accident with Felipe Massa meant a 20-minute delay until the start of Q3. It gave both the team and FIA officials the chance to check Barrichello's car and double-check for any weaknesses on Jenson Button's. But that meant less time on track, and the Brit couldn't do as many laps as he'd hoped.
We had more fuel on board because I didn't get to do my first run in qualifying. So in one way it's good because I've got quite a bit of fuel, but we're a long way back on the grid and also on the dirty side.
It had been a much better weekend for the McLarens, with updates working well and Lewis Hamilton topping the practice timesheets. Last year's winner Heikki Kovalainen starts from 6th, but Lewis Hamilton put in a great lap to claim 4th with his best qualifying performance this season.
You know, now I'm on the second row. That gives us a good opportunity to at least fight for the top 5 finish, which is fantastic for us. So good job to the lads back home.
With just moments to go, Mark Webber topped the timesheets, but after that it was anyone's guess. The official timing system went down, leaving everyone in the dark, and the drivers left to work it out for themselves.
Which time you did? 22.5. 21.5. What time you did, mate? 21.7. I'm 21.5. You know the position? No?
And after his own personal investigations, Fernando Alonso discovered he'd taken his first pole position for almost 2 years.
Has everything been cleared up and sorted, and you are starting third?
Yeah, I am, by the looks of it. And obviously all the timing screens went down. It's a pretty good session for us. I'm happy for where we are for the race tomorrow.
I think, second is a good position to start. Obviously the dirty side, but I think there will be enough rubber tomorrow and it should be fine. I think the biggest threat is coming from behind with the cursed cars.
We are aggressive on strategy. We are light on fuel, but being on pole is a little bit better than we expected. So, the car really worked really fine in qualifying, and maybe the most stressful time was in Parc Fermé to confirm which position you were, because we were asking between the drivers what time you did, and then finally arrived confirmation that we were on pole. So thanks to the team, and tomorrow hopefully we can have a chance to score good points.
So Fernando Alonso claims his first pole position since 2007. He's surrounded by the Red Bulls, Vettel alongside him, Mark Webber behind him. McLaren are the highest placed cars in 4th and 6th. A fuel-heavy Jenson Button could only manage 8th. Massa doesn't line up in 10th, so the rest of the grid moves forward. Rubens Barrichello starting from 12th. And it was another testing day for Toyota and BMW. Robert Kubica starts 18th, and F1 debutant Jaime Alguersuari props up the grid.
What about this charge to the first corner? Who's going to get there first? We're about to find out after these 5 red lights go out. They're not being held for long. They're away!
Gerhard Berger in for a second set of tyres, and Derek Warwick now is in 3rd position. Derek Warwick in a rostrum place. I can't remember when he finished there last. He's still got a long way to go. Reliability is going to be the name of the game now for the Williams-Renault leading this Benetton Ford, and Riccardo Patrese in 2nd place. Derek Warwick's footwork. Martin Brundle is 4th. Martini is 5th, because Gerhard Berger, with that second tyre stop, has dropped to 6th position in the Ferrari. Brundle is on a charge again. Martin Brundle in 4th position behind the footwork Mugen. And Derek Warwick, with the prospect of being on the rostrum with the champagne, is not going to give up his place easily. By the same token, Martin Brundle, who has already had a 3rd place this year because he finished there in the San Marino Grand Prix, will be determined to get in. So Berger is past Martini. Gerhard Berger is up into 5th position. His next target is the 4th place of Martin Brundle and the 3rd place of Derek Warwick. There they are. Brundle 4th. Warwick ahead of him in 3rd position. Behind them is Berger. Into the pits comes Alain Prost. And he's in 14th position for the record, but he's still 7 laps adrift. But now Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari in 5th place is right up with the Brundle-Warwick battle for 3rd. So it's V10 Mugen footwork, V10 Renault Ligier, V12 Ferrari, and they are together battling for 3rd position, and they're on lap 50 there, 58th lap. And exactly as John... Oh, and there's contact there. Gerhard Berger dives through, biffs Martin Brundle's Ligier. Berger ever the opportunist, but Martin Brundle, who is a forthright, outspoken chap, won't have taken to that very kindly. And there may well be an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation between them and from South Wootton near Kingsley. Now here's a replay. Martin Brundle in the blue Ligier goes a bit wide, starts to turn in, suddenly sees Berger alongside him. Berger's right rear hits Martin's left front, and hopefully that will not have deranged the Ligier suspension, but there's no guarantee, and the battle for 3rd place continues.
Here's the hairpin, one more corner to go. This is where Berger needs to be right up behind Warwick.
Let's see what happens. He's in the dirty air for sure. That won't help the grip of the car. He still looks a bit too far away, although he looks closer this lap. He might have a chance this lap. Now let's see what happens. No, he's going to have to do a very wild outbraking manoeuvre to do it. He has a go, and well, he's through. Now he is through. And the Austrian crowd here go absolutely berserk. I know we're in Hungary, but Austria is virtually just down the road. There are an enormous number of enthusiastic Austrian Formula One Grand Prix fans here